not have heard of VTech before. They're a very small custom builder just south of Miami. Their process is highly personalized. These boats are super rigid, super strong, and tailored to each individual buyer. I noticed right away the fit and finish is better than most modern boats, even some custom boats. Now, the boat I ran was a 2024 model with a Mercury 200 on the back. It didn't have a jack plate, trim tabs, or electronics, and is essentially a clean slate. And that's the really cool thing with VTech. They'll build the platform and then let a dealer like BGS customize it to whatever the customer wants. That could be electronics, could be polling platforms, powder coat work, or upholstery. Whatever you can dream up or come up with, someone like BGS can make it happen and make these boats truly one of a kind. Now, the hull might look familiar to some, and that's because it traces its roots back to the Hughes Redfisher of the 70s, a legendary design, well loved by many, but VTech has taken it and they've modernized it. They've added a pad to give it more speed, they've adjusted some lifting strakes, and that in combination with the exceptional bow dead rise make it a mind-blowing ride. It truly outshines anything else in this class when it comes to eating chop or anything that isn't glass calm. Now, I also noticed little things like a keel extension that runs from the front all the way almost to the back, even when the hull flattens out. And I found that that helps with two things. One, reduces a little bit of the hull slap a flats boat can have because most flatten out in the rear. And two, really helped it track straight when at higher speeds. With that 200, I saw the boat jump on plane instantly. At top end, I was seeing around 60 miles an hour with a 22 pitch Tempest prop. Now, keep in mind, I wasn't in glass calm water and I didn't have a tack, so I probably could have squeezed a little bit more out with better conditions and a little bit more trim, but as it was, it rode perfectly fine. Now, I noticed that anything over 30 miles an hour, it wanted to lay and run super flat. Anything under 30 and in chop, it could porpoise just a little bit, but I imagine trim tabs would dial that back in. All that to say, the faster you ran, the smoother it got, and I've been on bigger bay boats that honestly didn't ride this soft. I promise you, it's one of two boats I've ridden on that truly messed with my head, where I could see chop coming, brace for what I thought it would feel like, and then nothing, just smooth, just composed, and it was really awesome. Now, speaking of turning, this boat, as you can imagine, is super responsive in the turns. However, if you're going too fast and you push it a little too hard, it can blow out, but if you dial it back a little bit, it will settle back down and give you that bite back. Just something I noticed, not a deal breaker, probably could be helped with a jack plate, running it a little lower, but not the end of the world. Now, the next thing I want to comment on and talk about is the looks, because honestly, that's a big part of this boat, and it's what makes the VTEC stand out. Even a plain black one like this turned heads on the way to the ramp, and I'm sure the big V6 bolted on the back had nothing to do with that. But what I'm trying to say is some boats just have a presence about them, and they catch attention, and this is definitely one of those boats. And this is a subdued version of that. You add in bold colors or custom details, and it's a true showpiece. Unlike a lot of boats that try and fail to pull off wild Miami Vice color schemes, the VTEC actually makes it work. It's one of those boats that's built to be shown off, and it does it without ever looking forced. Now, moving on to deck layout and storage for an 18-foot boat, this has been extremely well thought out. You have two big boxes in the aft for storage. Between them sits a 26-gallon live well with a nice acrylic lid, wide open bilge access under the bench seat. In there, you'll find stringers that are absolutely massive, and they double as rigging tubes, which makes rigging not only clean, but future upgrades simple. In addition to that, plenty of storage in there for extra batteries, shallow water anchor pumps, or if you need to service anything. It is literally the most wide open accessible bilge I've seen in quite some time. Moving up a little bit further, we've got the console. Now, it's not a massive console, but it will hold two 9-inch screens if you'd like, or something like Simrad's new 15-inch widescreen. I did find the steering wheel, helm, and the binnacle a little close together, but honestly, the ergonomics were fine, and when you're driving, everything worked together great. Inside the console, again, while not the biggest, you can access it from the rear or the front under the front jump seat. Plenty of storage in there for your little things that you want to keep drying out of the way, as well as your battery switch and all of the wiring. Speaking of which, I found the wiring to be really clean, really well organized, and again, like everything else on the boat, not an afterthought. Actual intention was put into how this boat was put together and built at the factory. Now, moving up from the console, next you'll find a fish box in the floor. And honestly, when you open it up, it looks serviceable, but when you actually look inside, you realize it runs up under the console and is way larger than you would expect on a boat of this size. Really nice to see, and of course, that is insulated. Moving up to the bow, on your casting platform, you have your anchor locker. Open that up, it's all finished inside, which is really nice to see. Everything drains into the bilge, and it has a shelf for any additional batteries or storage that keep it separate from the anchor so it's not getting beat up when you're in, rough water. So what's my biggest takeaway? Well, everything closed tight, nothing rattled like I mentioned earlier, and nothing felt cheap. Plenty of storage for a small flats boat. The design is efficient, well thought out, and makes the most of every square inch available to it. Now, moving on from there, draft during my test was around 8 to 10 inches with the light load and the large 200 on the back. Put a smaller motor and you'll likely see draft as little as 6 inches, but the 200, in my opinion, is the perfect motor for that boat. It matches that hull so well, I'll gladly sacrifice a couple of inches of draft for it. However, you put a couple buddies, some more gear, and you're obviously going to see a little bit more draft than that 8 to 10 inches, but it's still very, very shallow floating for any flats boat, especially one with this much bow dead rise, and honestly, I'll take that. Now, capacity-wise, it's good for 3 others and the captain, or a family of 4 if you're ferrying them to the sandbar and back, but any more than that, you're probably going to look at something a little bit bigger. However, for something you can park in your garage, this boat does an admirable job of moving around 4 people if needed, plus any gear they may have. Now, as tested, as this boat sits, as you see it in the review, it is coming in at just over $63,000. And from there, it's really up to you how far you want to take it. This isn't a boat that's built around value, and that's not the point. This is for someone who honestly values performance, individuality, and status. And unlike bigger brands where you go out, see your same boat everywhere, you're not going to see that with VTech. And when you do see another one, it's going to reflect that owner. It's going to be completely different from the one you have, and that's something I really like about them. In a market with names like Hells Bay, Lake and Bay, and Maverick, the VTech brings a different vibe. Performance, build quality, a attentive and responsive builder, and a look that turns heads. And I promise it will outride any of them. At the end of the day, the VTech 18 is a small boat with a really big attitude and one that it can absolutely back up. Most people won't believe it until they ride one, but once you do, it is hard to compare it to anything else. It's honestly a race car on the water that rides and acts like something much larger. And it looks like nothing else in its class, especially when someone puts some custom touches to them. To me, it's equal parts fishing machine and flex piece, and that's what makes it special. And that's why it's on my dream boat list. Now, big thanks to BGS Marine for letting me take time out on this boat. What do you think? Is it over the top and overpriced, or is it a true showstopper that punches way outside of its weight class? Let me know in the comments. I'm Jacob with Cast South. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.